How's it going, everybody? Ty Sites Shadow Games Report. Doing part 2 of Devil May Cry tonight. Should I wait for the drop? Okay, I'll turn that off. I'll save that for this weekend, guys. We got Netherwave Volume 2 coming up this weekend. If anybody's interested, if you like hard wave, bass wave, synth wave, I got it all. So, just check it out. Come by and hang out this weekend. But anyways, we are going to do about 30 minutes to an hour and a half of news before we get into the game. Let's get into it. Trump blasts Carlson, Kelly, Owens, and Jones over Iran stance. Yeah. Trump's been attacking a lot of his old supporters for quite a while now. It's kind of an interesting phenomenon. All of these people that are, well, in my opinion, mostly saying the right things, they're slowly being made out to be, I don't know, foreign assets of some kind. It's very strange. It's just, the hypocrisy is just totally overboard at this point. And, I don't know, it'll drive anybody towards insanity, if you ask me. Well, at least if you're paying attention. There's still quite a few people that don't want to pay attention. I still have quite a few family members that just want to roll their eyes at everything. And I'm just like sitting here thinking like, bro, like we're about to lose everything if y'all don't wake up. But I don't know. I mean, maybe we're all being lied to. Maybe it's all a movie, as some of these Q people like to say. I don't know, man. I'm just over it. I think everybody's over it. We're just kind of like, bro, if it is like some weird fake op, like, can we wrap this up? Like, when is it going to stop? Or is it going to stop? Are we ever going to get to a point where we feel like there's some type of success? It has been going downhill pretty much ever since the summer of last year. But we'll get into that here in a second. Army veteran arrested for leaking Delta Force secrets to journalists. Seems like they caught the woman. It was a woman. Strangely enough. Didn't expect that. Minneapolis man gets 43 months for stealing millions from child meal funds. Jeez. Massey calls for end to all U.S. foreign aid. See, it's like Massey, you know, he's attacked all the time as well from Trump just for calling out Israel, trying to cut off foreign aid, just so we can have a little bit of money, you know, for ourselves. Be kind of nice. Unverified claim of influencer foreign money probe sparks conservative clashes. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting to see Benny Johnson come out today and start to hit on Israel as well. That was kind of strange. I didn't expect that. He's been one of the more state-driven, supposedly independent journalists. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you would really call him. He's got his own team and everything. He's obviously funded. He got caught with some large sum of money that was coming from a Russian company, I guess that was based here in Tennessee, of all places. It's kind of weird, all the operations that seem to go on in Tennessee. But it's like, you never hear about Tennessee. I think that's the strange part. I think that's why you don't hear about Tennessee. It's just all the weird operations that go on here. I mean, we like helped develop the nuclear bomb, supposedly. Allegedly. Anyways. Federal judge finds Pentagon is violating court order to restore access to reporters. arrests made in California fraud crackdown targeting LA hospice ring, allegedly behind $267 million in bogus charges. Cuba's president says he's not stepping down in interview with NBC News. Well, guess you're gonna probably have to bow down to Trump. Whatever the hell he asked for, it seems like. It's like, I don't know, man. Trump's kind of scary at this point. He's like, dude, he's like, I'll kill you if you don't listen to me. Like, that's basically where we're at now. I say that jokingly, but I don't know, man. Are we about to see, like, some of MAGA locked up here soon? I mean, he's going after Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, and many others. I mean, Thomas Massie, I can name them on and on, Joe Kent. Like, all these people that appear to have, well, a higher reputation than Trump right now, at least. Just my opinion. Alright, where was I at? Sheriff's deputy killed in Central California while serving eviction notice. Federal judge dismisses DOJ lawsuit against Massachusetts after it refused to turn over voting data. Trump administration's volume of emergency docket appeals unprecedented, Sotomayor says. Universities of Wisconsin regents cite disputes over AI and other topics in president's firing. No clue what that's about. Yeah, I have a big dispute actually with my company right now over automated systems. I actually got locked out of our system here recently. And it's so suspicious that I'm just like questioning, okay, is it because of like the politics that I bring up on my channel? I don't know, like it's just, they can't explain it on their side and I can't explain it on my side, so it's just like, you know, it's anyone's guess. But it just starts to make you wonder, like, you know, have I been compromised? At least has my account been compromised? Has, you know, the system been compromised? You know, are there ways that we can be shut down indirectly? We've had tons of people being debanked and de-jobbed, whatever you would call that, unemployed, sorry, de-jobbed. I don't know, it felt good in the moment. Melania Trump blasts lies linking her to Epstein and calls on Congress to hold hearing for victims. Yeah, it was a surprise move today. Alex Jones said that she may have done this without Trump's knowing. So, like, I don't know if this is just directly towards her, like she's just trying to distance herself from the accusations, or if she's trying to save the entire Trump family whenever she says all of these things. You know, is she trying to distance herself from Trump? I don't know. Somebody was trying to say that earlier today, and I was just kind of like, I don't think that's what she's trying to do. I don't think that she has major tiffs with Trump right now. Maybe she does. I don't know. Maybe we haven't seen that side of her yet. But anyways, Netanyahu says Israel will begin direct negotiations with Lebanon aimed at disarming Hezbollah. Really? I did hear a little birdie say something along those lines earlier today. I'm trying to think who it was, actually. I can't remember. It might have been, actually, I think it was Promethean Action. I'll give them credit. They were saying that Lebanon was basically telling Hezbollah to leave. I don't know where they're going to go to. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, okay, does that mean that Lebanon is already taken over by Israel, like, indirectly? Or is this actually a means of actually bringing peace? And not only that, is Israel actually going to occupy parts of Lebanon? That's the strange, I guess, ethics that are going on here. It's just like, they go in, they take over the land, at least allegedly. That's the story that we're being told. Are we being told a lie there? Sometimes I kind of wonder, I'm just like, are they actually occupying the land, or is this actually, like, trying to deter, you know, some type of, like, terrorist cell that's actually inside of Lebanon? And why can't Lebanon ever get rid of these people? Or like, if it's such a problem. Um, I don't know. I've heard that there's Christians being killed in all of this. I've heard that there's obviously Muslims being killed in all of this, but are they the radical Muslims? Are they the more, I guess, likable Muslims? The ethical Muslims, we'll call them. It's almost like we need to call certain Christians the ethical real Christians, and then we have the unethical fake Christians. I don't know, man. Like, sometimes I'm just kind of like, can we like divide some of the people we don't like in these groups? It's like, if there's such a big tiff with Zionists right now over them being so, war hungry, satanic in a sense. Like, what are we going to do about that? I mean, like, I don't know. Sometimes I just throw my hands up because I'm just like, bro, like, we've already won the arguments. We've already gotten past this point. Like, we don't even have to be, like, we didn't have to be dicks about it either. We just, like, won the arguments, They were just better. And, like, it shut the other side up for a minute. And then they come back the next day even louder because they're pissed off and because they're a dying generation. I'm just going to be real. They're a dying generation. These boomers, these Zionists, they're dying off, and the younger generation are not accepting their ideology. And why would they? This is scary stuff. And to the younger generation, this is very scary. A child can recognize danger sometimes much quicker than an adult because, well, I mean, sometimes they can see something as danger that's not as well, but, that's why they can, sense it better. They're more sensitive. But also, too, we have to realize how this is hurting the next generation. How it's causing them to not even want to have children in our own country. We can't afford children. It's killing off that generation as well, in a sense. Or even the generation that was going to come after them, because that generation is not having children. Which also might mean that the older generation that is still capable of having kids, they might have more unhealthy children. Because younger people are supposed to have, kids within a certain age range. I'm not going to, like, determine what those ages are or anything. But, I mean, obviously, within legal consent, obviously, that's what I mean. But, if the younger generation can't have kids, there's going to be a whole decade or so where we didn't have children. And that's kind of where we're at. That's where we got to the weird place of, like, immigration just being out of control. We're like, hey, we'll just replace our numbers with these people. And then the quality of service and everything kind of starts to go down. Yeah, we got some intricate foods. That was kind of nice. I got to meet some cool people. Had all kinds of fun. But then you start to kind of realize, like, well, what did this really do to my own culture? What did this do to my own people? What did this do to me? Anyways, moving on. Trump says U.S. military to stay around Iran until Tehran complies with deal. Yeah, I've heard close to 50,000 military units. I don't know if it was 50,000 soldiers, but there was like 50,000 units, like kind of just like on standby. Now, I don't know if that means like soldiers plus equipment or what. Anyways, Trump closes up more than 1,300 points. I'm sorry, Dow. What did I just say? Dow closes up more than 1,300 points after U.S.-Iran ceasefire. Yeah, that probably worked for like one day. He is totally playing with the markets. That's what he says. I'm surprised that even the markets react the way that they do, considering everything. How much he lies, especially. Iran accuses U.S. of violating 3 clauses of 10-point framework before Islamabad talks begin. They weren't supposed to attack Lebanon. Alright, UAE and Israel could continue the war without the US as more in a fall. Or maybe this guy, actually.
Treat, I'm not sure if you know, Iran's getting bombed as we speak. I'm guessing it's Israel. I'm sure you guys have the same guess. But let me tell you exactly where it's being bombed. Literally a few seconds ago. There's two crazy things. Airstrikes on Tehran and Karaj, northern Iran. And air defenses have been active for well over 20 minutes. And the second one is Iranian media claims the Mirage 2009 fighters, 2000-9 fighters, operated by the UAE, were behind the attacks on the Iranian refineries in the Persian Gulf earlier today. We saw Iran retaliate. What the fuck? Colonel.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what the hell just happened. I guess I clicked on the wrong
I'm not
thing.
sure if you know, Iran's getting bombed as we speak. I'm guessing it's Israel. I'm sure you guys have the same guess. But let me tell you exactly where it's being bombed. Literally a few seconds ago. There's two crazy things. Airstrikes on Tehran and Karaj, northern Iran. And air defenses have been active for well over 20 minutes. And the second one is Iranian media claims the Mirage 2009 fighters, 2000-9 fighters, operated by the UAE, were behind the attacks on the Iranian refineries in the Persian Gulf earlier today. We saw Iran retaliate. What the fuck?
So the Israelis continuing the war is something that I think is a bit of like a test case. Same thing with the Iranian demand that the ceasefire should also encompass Lebanon and Gaza. It's a way for them to show solidarity with the Lebanese and the Gazans, but it's also for two other purposes. One is because of recognition that if the war continues over there, the spillover risk is significant that it will come back to Iran at some point. It already has twice in the last 2 years. And since the Iranians are looking for an enduring end to the war, it requires then that the Lebanese and the Gazan theater is also calmed down. But also I think it is because this is a way for the Iranians to test. Is the United States capable of reigning in Israel? Is it willing to reign in Israel? Because if the United States is not willing or capable of doing this, what is the value of a ceasefire with the United States? If the Israelis can restart the war whenever they want, and on top of that, they will have the ability to drag the US into the war again. And as a result, this I think is going to, they're looking at this to see what the Trump administration will do. Now, of course, from the Israeli standpoint and from the Emirati standpoint, I suspect that they're doing this precisely because they want to ruin the ceasefire. The Israelis were completely against this ceasefire. And I think that if it is true that the Emiratis was behind these attacks, if it is true, then I think it is. I find it likely. I find it likely that this could very well be the case. I think we have seen clear messages from the Emirati side that they did not want to see an end to the fight. And this further increases the suspicion that they were lobbying in favor of the war prior to the war. At the end of the day, the Emiratis are a close ally of Israel at this point. This is also causing a significant split within the GCC. You have had GCC states that have worked very, very hard to prevent this war. And now the Emiratis are not only having probably played a role in favor, but also now potentially working to make sure that the ceasefire collapses. Now, this will then, if it is proven that this is the case, I think you will see the Iranians go very hard at the Emirates. I think they have not gone as hard as they probably could, but it will also then potentially lead to a scenario. And this is something that probably the Emiratis are quite worried about. A scenario in which the ceasefire in some ways is in place, in some ways it is not. The United States may simply exit this war, and it will be Israel and the Emirates that will continue it on its own. And that's going to be a very different type of a war, a much tougher equation for both of them.
You mean much tougher invasion for the UAE, not for Iran? How's it a tougher equation with Iran if they're only fighting the UAE?
No, I'm saying it will be tougher both for Israel and the UAE if they don't have the US on their side. I mean, even the Israeli air defense systems are going to be quite compromised if they don't have active American support. And Trump is going to be in a position in which clearly he wanted to get out of this war. He had realized that this war was a massive mistake. If we're to believe the New York Times account, and a lot of it I can say that is very compatible with what I've been hearing throughout this period, Trump, and I've said it on this show several times, Trump was sold a false perception and idea of what this war would be like by the Israelis, telling him that this would be extremely easy, it would be very quick. And as a result, this would lead to a glorious quick victory for Trump, which clearly was not the case. I think he's now realized that that was all false. He's managed to get himself out of this war. Why would he go back in? What is it militarily that has changed that would make one believe that a second bite at the apple would actually work? At the end of the day, the Iran still have the ability to hold the global economy hostage, and it will continue to do so as long as the geography is what it is. Yeah. So I just have a very hard time seeing that Trump would make such a decision to go back in. And as a result, the ceasefire ultimately may be successful from an American standpoint because it gets the US out of this war, but the rest of the region will still deal with a war that at least initially will be Israel and the UAE, and whether they can sustain that war or not remains to be seen.
There's still a high likelihood that we could attack, though. Now, how successful that attack would be, I have no clue. It seems like the two main choke points that we would try to take are Karg Island and the actual strait itself. We would probably take control of the islands where they have the certain checkpoints. And we have all of our military on standby. So it's still very highly likely that something may happen. But I'm not wishing for it. If we can take small wins and they actually solidify, then that's what we want. It lasted a lot longer than it should have, though. And I don't know. I'm still not sure what exactly we want out of this. Now, if you listen to Promethean Action, they're going to tell you that we're winning no matter what. There is no negativity whatsoever out of them. They do not critique Trump on anything whatsoever from what I've seen. And they are completely biased. So I'm sorry if I have been showing them too much lately. I guess I was trying to give them a little bit of a, a little bit of a chance. I try to give new people that I've never seen a little bit of a chance, a little bit of a leash, and then once they act up, I'm like, no, get over here. All right, let's talk a little bit about Trump bashing Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones. Do I even want to read this? Should I let Alex Jones talk about it? I might just let Alex Jones talk about it. I don't really want to read this, but I might read half of it. I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have been fighting me for years, especially for the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. I don't think any of them actually think that. So that's the first lie. Let's go ahead and note that. Because they have one thing in common, low IQs. Just a ad hominem attack. Okay, noted. They're stupid people. Another one. They know it. Their families know it. And everyone else knows it. 2, look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. There are some truths here and there in some of that, especially towards, maybe Alex Jones and Candace Owens a little bit. Definitely Megyn Kelly, too. Tucker Carlson, maybe? I'm trying to think. I haven't seen as much towards Tucker Carlson. I still think he's a CIA agent. I'm not saying he is. I don't want to get sued in case he's not. But I still think, especially with his dad, and also wanting to sign up for the CIA, and also his other weird comments that he's made. I don't know. Maybe I think there was actually a video that I saw recently where it was talking about it. Anyways, where was that? Now they think they can get some clicks because they have a third-rate podcast, but nobody's talking about them. Okay, that's not true. Okay, this particular video, it's not even from Tucker Carlson. This is Shadow of Ezra, and it almost has 1 million views, and it's from yesterday. Almost. It's right under it. Alright, where was I at again? Anyways, you get the picture. He's just gonna bash him over and over. It's literally a book long. I even, started kind of questioning myself earlier today. I'm like, did he ever write any of this shit? He puts so much information in these Truth Social posts that I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't think you write all this stuff, bro. I mean, you could have voice to text. Somebody else mentioned that earlier, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't even know if Trump's advanced enough to know what voice to text is. I mean, we can't even, get him to agree that, crashing the economy by blowing up Iran was a bad idea. I didn't think that was ever going to have to be an argument, but we did it. We totally ran right into it. But anyways, let's get to Alex Jones. I'm not going to cover this whole video, but I will cover a little bit.
I just want to finish by saying your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope,
President Trump, you promised to never let me down. You let yourself and America down. There's still time for you to turn back and stop listening to your never-Trumper enemies. Thursday, April 9th, 2026. Just an hour or so ago, President Trump on Truth Social put out this long post, one of the longest, if not the longest I've ever seen, attacking myself, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you name it, and just demonize the living hell out of us for challenging him, saying he would destroy an entire civilization in one night, never to come back, the definition of genocide. And he's told us Mark Levin is his brain. Mark Levin wants nuclear strikes on Iran preemptively. Israel's calling for that. This is madness. And I was there 10 years ago supporting him against Ted Cruz when nobody else really in Texas was. I was there when they had Crossfire Hurricane coming up against him. I was the first to tell him about the illegal spying. I was there when I got sued by the Paul Weiss law firm with their whole fake show trial Sandy Hook garbage, the same law firm suing him. I was there and went through all of it with him. And I was so supportive in the last campaign and thought Doge was so amazing. And then Elon Musk left and said he's in the Epstein files. Everything's going sideways. Now he's giving glyphosate protection and the list goes on and on. It's a true nightmare. But I support the old Donald Trump, not the new Donald Trump. But now his own wife today, unannounced, reportedly he didn't know, came out and said, I was never in a relationship with Epstein. We predict they're trying to blackmail Trump with fake rumors of that aren't true. But she's just like Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates, Melinda French now, coming out and saying, I'm not associated with Bill. Melania said that we need to see the women come forward. Epstein is real. We need congressional hearings. But Trump said a whole bunch last year and this year, Epstein's a hoax. There's nothing there. His own FBI director and deputy director said it's a hoax. He didn't even have accomplices. He wasn't even a human trafficker, even though his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was in prison for human trafficking. So Trump is in free fall. This is an absolute nightmare. The Democrats are capitalizing on this, and they absolutely love it, but it's Donald Trump's fault. And so I remember the good Donald Trump. We researched Epstein, never any connection to him. We knew they tried to tie Melania to this 10 years ago was a hoax, and these Jane Does that said that Trump raped him and turned to be fake. But he did cover it up, and he did protect Howard Lutnick and others. And he did say last year and this year, it doesn't exist. Stop talking about it. Well, your own wife now says it does exist. It is a big issue. There should be congressional hearings. So Trump's got a big problem, and this is him panicking, trying to go after some of his best real supporters, but now he's got new supporters. All the never-Trumpers, the Lindsey Grahams, Lady Graham with his bubble wand at Disney, stalking children, and he's got Mark Levin, the never-Trumper, and he's got Ben Shapiro. So that's great. That's who you want to be MAGA. That's who you tell us is MAGA. Well, we're not MAGA. We're 1776 worldwide. And we'll continue with our populism, our nationalism, our Christianity, our conservatism. It's spreading across the world in the fourth turning. Because Trump rode in like a surfer on this wave. He didn't create the wave. God created the wave. We're all on right now. So let's go over this ridiculous post he did and just grieve that the old Trump we knew is no longer there. Hopefully he comes back from the dead, rise like Phoenix. There's hopefully still some hope. Even down my show before this came out, I had a Christian pastor on talking about how we should openly still pray for him and hope for the good. And see him as like a battle axe against the globalists, our weapon we should take back from the control of Israel and the neocons and get back in line with his original mission. And I pray that's still the case. But as bad as he is, as corrupt as he's gotten, the insider trading, all of it, I'm really glad he's differentiating, saying you're not with me, because I'm not with you. I don't want to be at your cool, corrupt kid, Howard Lutnick, Jeffrey Epstein class table. Thank you so much for delineating that I'm not with you, a sinking, burning ship. The left attacks me and says, oh, you admitted it was bad the whole time. You made a mistake. No, we got a lot of good done with him. I'm proud of the fact I went through hell to support Trump. But I have integrity, and I will now stand against this new Trump, who by the day becomes more demonic, more twisted, and more sick. Let's go over this crazy Truth Social post. I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years. Really, you just had Tucker months ago at the White House saying how great he was. Especially by the fact that they think it's wonderful for Iran, the #1 state-sponsored terror, to have a nuclear weapon. I don't support Iran. I don't support the mullahs. The Pentagon assessment said 90% chance it would fail. There'll be regime change. They close Trader Moose. You look like a fool, which happened. Because they have one thing in common, low IQs. We think you protest too much, Trump. They're stupid people. Yeah, stupid enough to have your enemies all around you like Mark Levin, never-Trumper. They know it. Their families know it, and everyone else knows it. You think quotes a fake CNN poll, 100% Trump supports the war. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes. You know, when I read this, the crew had a consensus. I talked to them separately. I think Mark Levin and Todd Blanche, the Democrat Party lawyer, wrote this. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television. Oh, the old 79-year-old boomer thinks it's big. Tucker's 10 times bigger, so are we. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows. Yeah, Tucker with the highest ratings at the time it was, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. That's why you're writing about us. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they can get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA. So you have a 70-year-old man living in the 19th century. He's like the 1920s saying, oh, that Henry Ford, he doesn't know anything about it. These cars are going nowhere. Or Krugman of the New York Times, saying, oh, the internet will be like a fax machine, nothing. I mean, this is so boomer. Or I would have won the presidential election in a landslide. Again, because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. All the studies show it was the podcasting bros made you win. MAGA agrees with me. Oh, you're fixing a poll. And just gave CNN 100% approval rating of Trump. Oh, yeah, 100% of Trump supporters support the war. All the other polls say 85% against it. Not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, top ratings when he did, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who's nastily asked me that now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question, or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and when hopefully wins lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is far more beautiful than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones,
oh my God,
who says some of the dumbest things and lost his fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attacks on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims. Top for sure. Ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers. Hey, Trump, the Paul Weiss law firm, the main one that sued you and came after you, is the one that had the show trials and kind of did these things I didn't do to end the First Amendment. It was to take me out because I was supporting you. So I'm still on air, bigger than ever. All the stuff's being overturned. It came out the CIA and FBI, declassified, ran those operations against me in show trials with HBO. And here you are quoting the Paul Weiss law firm that ran the main lawsuits against you that Todd Blanche is protecting. But you don't even know that. These so-called pundits are losers, and they always will be. Now, fake news CNN. He just quoted CNN saying he has a 100% approval rating. The failing New York Times and all these other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. Trump. CNN has like 70,000 viewers an hour. I have that on individual radio stations, 400 plus of them. I have tens of millions of viewers listeners today. I don't care that CNN has jumped on board and has amplified what we're saying. They do that because they know we have credibility in the public because they're against you. I was not against you until you became a tool of Israel and started promoting nuclear war and total insanity. So you quote CNN saying you have 100% approval rating for the war, then you say they're totally discredited. Again, that's incongruent in your own post. This is idiocy. The failing New York Times and all the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA, they're losers. See, this shows how Trump wants positive press from the core media. I don't. They're not MAGA, they're losers, trying to latch on to MAGA. As president, I couldn't get them on my side anytime I want to, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on the world and country affairs. I've not been calling you, I don't want to meet with you. From about like 8 months ago to the White House, I didn't go. After a few times, they go nasty, just like Marjorie Taylor Brown, but I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength, and it's not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again, and these people have no idea how to do that. But I do because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world, President Donald John Trump. Down to the left, America was sold out. You were doing a good job on that. Now your recovery's in great danger.
The hottest country in the world? Bro, you got Americans wanting to leave now. You have, like, people wanting to leave to the UK and El Salvador and literally all over the world now. I mean, honestly, it's probably helping drive some of the deportations, but you might want to be concerned about losing certain Americans. I won't say all Americans. I feel like some Americans need to leave, but at the same time, are we really trying to drive our own people away, or are we trying to, like, keep our own people here and, I don't know, get along maybe, instead of like trying to create all these weird divisions?
Trade war misclosure, which you didn't care about. You're like, open the fucking strait, and now you're a laughing stock with what you've done with Iran literally outflanking you and manipulating you. So Trump doesn't want to fight the Democrats. He doesn't want to speak out against them. He wants to attack his most loyal supporters who want the old Trump and not this new horrible Trump.
I mean, I think this is good for Alex Jones. I think it pulls his head out of his ass towards, you know, just being overly biased towards Trump. Maybe we'll actually get some better reporting on the whole situation now. I mean, I'm seeing the small little wins here. If we can, like, actually form some coalitions around certain ideas, especially, like, his weird dictatorial nature that has kind of just popped up within recent, I mean, I guess half a year, but close to a year now, really. He did say he was going to be a dictator on day one, but it was only supposed to be for a day. It wasn't really supposed to, you know, linger.
And that's what this comes down to. So Trump, you've got Lindsey Graham in his bubble wand when he stops talking kids at Disney World. You've got Laura Loomer, the ultra creep that eats dog food on TV for money.
Who made these?
The Israeli operative Jonathan Pollard 2.0
Yeah.
and his sidekick Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin. And so that's good. We rode you as a horse as long as you did good. Now that you're done, we're putting your ass out to pasture. You're done. You destroyed your...
I'm sorry, that did not look like Laura Loomer. That looked like some other chick. Oh, I guess I lost
like Marjorie
it.
Taylor Brown, the left, America was sold out. You were doing a good job. You got the Israeli operative Jonathan Pollard 2.0 and his sidekick Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin. And so that's good. We rode you as a horse as long as you did good. Now that you're done, we're putting your ass out to pasture. You're done. You destroyed your legacy. Massive insider trading on the war, all the rest of it. And I will continue to expose whoever's corrupt, whether it's you or whether it's the Democrats.
Who made that?
In closing, I legitimately
That's
think
actually
Trump
kinda
wrote this book, but I
decent.
think reading it, Todd Blanche and Mark Levin wrote it, because this is exactly everything they stand for, and they are so pissed off, and they are mad that the majority of Americans agree with us that we shouldn't destroy all civilization and commit genocide. So that's what this comes down to. And so Trump has finally imploded because of the stress. I believe he has early onset of dementia. And so now, more than ever, he should take off some time. We should pray for him. And if he doesn't get his mind right, we have to support impeachment for the amendment. It's just that simple. Trump is now a clear and present danger to this country and the world. He has gone completely insane, and a huge weight is off of me because I got nothing but lawsuits and hate and hell and attacks supporting Trump. But overall, he was challenged the globalists, not supporting. I mean, President Trump, we've seen so many insane statements from you. You came out last week and said, we don't worry about daycare and Medicare and Medicaid. We don't have money for that. We're a war economy. The opposite of what you ran on the last 10 years.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal.
And it goes on and on and on from there. I'm sorry. I have integrity. I do not support the new Donald Trump, the El Diablo. I support the old Donald Trump.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. I covered 15 minutes of that at 1.75 speed. So maybe like, I don't know, close to 7 or 8 minutes playing that video. Let's move on to something else. You guys can go watch the rest of that video on Alex Jones' page if you want to. Shadow of Ezra says Tucker Carlson hints that the first assassination attempt on President Trump was planned and covered up by Israel
Why
and Benjamin Netanyahu.
can't this president or any president say no to Israel? And we have a right to know why. It's not just because we love Israel and it's the only democracy in the Middle East. And if it is, then our leaders are dumber than we thought they were. But it's probably not that. Because they understand perfectly well how bad this is for the U.S. And there are, believe it or not, a lot of people in the White House who care about the United States. People with power in the White House. They're not all whatever you think they are, zombies doing Bibi's bidding. Some of them can see very clearly where this is heading. It's heading toward a nuclear strike by Israel on Iran. That's obvious. And that would be a world historic disaster. It's also clearly terrible for the American economy, for the American people, not even to mention the Americans who will die in numbers if this becomes a land war. So there are people working really hard, really late, trying to fix this, to get a peace, even one that diminishes us, where we have to take some lumps. They are doing that. That's the only reason we got to where we were yesterday. It's because people in the White House, taking no credit for it whatsoever, were working to end this, because it's bad. But those people predictably were undercut. Our country was undercut by Israel, and there's apparently nothing we can do about it. So again, why is that? And once this is over, even before it ends, every American has a right to know, why does this tiny country have so much control over our government? Is it consent? It doesn't look like it. But Joe Kent said point blank when he resigned. And by the way, the day he resigned, he retained highest level security clearance. They tried to tell you, oh, he was a leaker, he was under investigation. It was a lie. They admitted it was a lie. He wasn't under investigation by the FBI. Untrue. And you know it's untrue because he held his security clearance till the day he left the building. So there's no intelligence in the U.S. government that Joe Kent couldn't see. None. He was one of the most informed people in the world. And his conclusion was, there's something weird going on here. And one of the clues is the Butler shooting, the shooting in the summer of 2024 during the presidential election where President Trump was shot in the ear by a gunman a little over 100 yards away in the roof of a building called Thomas Crooks. And according to Joe Kent, who would know, that investigation was closed before it pursued every possible lead. We can be fairly confident that Thomas Crooks pulled the trigger. We cannot be confident at all that he acted alone. And of course, we can't know because that investigation was shut down. That's what he said. And Joe Kent, who you can dismiss as a wacko or a traitor, but you can't say he doesn't know what he's talking about. And you can't say the Trump administration didn't trust him with all available U.S. intelligence until the day he left. You can't say that because they did. He has said out loud he thinks the failure to investigate the Butler shooting, the shooting of our now President Donald Trump, and why wouldn't they investigate that, by the way? That alone is baffling. Why wouldn't they release all the information they have about Thomas Crooks? They haven't. Why? If it was a lone gunman, why didn't tell us all you know? But they haven't. Why? He believes that is connected to the control that Israel has over the United States government, the demonstrable control. He said that. They also pointed to a couple of pretty shocking violations of the president's personal security by the Secret Service. They allowed things to happen that never happen around a president. Now, maybe they were mistakes. You want to think they were. But who's been fired at the Secret Service over those mistakes? No one that we're aware of. There's not been a wholesale reordering of the Secret Service. Their job is to protect the president, the elected president of the United States. And you do that not just because you love the president, but because our entire system hangs on the idea that the people get to choose their president and he can't be removed by force. That's democracy. If you could just take out the president by force, then how is democracy real? If people choose someone that larger forces don't like and they kill him, then you don't have democracy. So protecting the life of the president is essential to the functioning of our system. And yet, on at least 2 occasions, they've proven that they haven't been able to do that. And yet, has there been an investigation into that? Has anyone been fired over that? No. Now, those of us who don't work there have no real idea what that means, but someone who just worked there until the other day, Joe Kent, said, I think that may be related to our inability to say no to Israel.
FBI Director Kash Patel says FBI and our partners have arrested a former SOCOM employee who supported our top-level military warfighters for allegedly transmitting classified information to a member of the media. Outstanding work by FBI Charlotte and FBI Counterintelligence and Espionage Division, as well as the Justice Department partners. Let this serve as a message to any would-be leakers. We're working these cases and we're making arrests. This FBI will not tolerate those who seek to betray our country and put Americans in harm's way. So this is the chick, allegedly.
Security clearance while she worked with Delta Force there with the Army in Fort Bragg. She's the whistleblower that called out the maltreatment that she was experiencing while working there. But the feds believe she was giving away a lot more than just workplace secrets. Secrets that could have put soldiers' lives at risk.
For 8 years, Courtney Williams worked in the Army's Delta Force at Fort Bragg, behind-the-scenes work to help maintain cover for one of the military's most secretive groups. But now she's being accused of leaking top-secret information to a journalist that could have put soldiers' lives at risk. Williams was quoted in Seth Harp's book, The Fort Bragg Cartel.
My book is critical of these institutions because I think that waging war in secrecy for 20 years gives rise to a host of cultural problems that spill over into communities like Fayetteville.
WRAL interviewed Harp about the book in October. Williams was quoted extensively when referring to a toxic work environment within Delta Force, where she claimed she was sexually harassed and discriminated against while also sharing information about work she would do. A criminal complaint filed today indicates she had concerns about how Harp's reporting could affect her, telling her mother, "I might actually get arrested," and also telling Harp, "I would definitely have been concerned with the amount of classified information being disclosed." She continued, saying in part, "I'm taking deep breaths, but have a feeling this is going to be more of a nightmare for my children than not." Harp declined an interview, but sent me a statement calling this a vindictive act of retaliation and saying in part, "Former Delta Force operators disclose national defense information on podcasts and YouTube shows every day, but the government is going after Courtney for the sole reason that she exposed sexual harassment and gender discrimination in the unit."
So the Eastern District of North Carolina says they will be releasing some sort of press release sometime soon, but don't have a public comment to give me at this point. I have also reached out.
Ex-SOCOM employee arrested by the FBI today is Courtney Williams. She allegedly leaked classified war secrets to media and put U.S. troops in danger. Yeah, it was leaked to an Israeli journalist. I covered it yesterday and the day before. Put U.S. troops in danger. If she is guilty, then she should spend her life in prison. Yeah, it sounded like she was almost a victim in that video. But then we learned about everything else, and yeah. Lebanon is home to one of the largest remaining Christian populations in the Middle East.
These aren't just Muslims who are dying. You know, Lebanon has the largest Christian population that remains in the Middle East. The areas in southern Lebanon that are being hit aren't just Christian areas. They are so historically Christian. The wedding in Cana, where Jesus performs his very first miracle, where he turns water into wine, is in southern Lebanon. Where Simon Peter is laid to rest is in southern Lebanon. The Christian communities there are as old as Christianity itself. And these are the people who are being hit. These are the people that are being targeted. Israel says, just like they said about Gaza, we're going in there because we're going to take out the Hezbollah fighters because they're attacking us. That's not what they're doing. They are taking southern Lebanon all the way up to, I got to get the name of the river right, but it's the Litani River. Mm-hmm. Up to the Litani River, the goal is to take all of southern Lebanon and to basically make it part of greater Israel. That is what they are doing. Today, Netanyahu's office put out a statement essentially telling the members of the Lebanese army to get away from the final bridge that they have not yet blown that connects northern and southern Lebanon. There's one left that crosses the Litani River. And today, they I don't know if they've hit it yet or not, but that was the warning that went out this morning. So the one place they warned about was they were going to hit this bridge. When they hit that bridge, they have now severed, geographically, physically severed northern and southern Lebanon. Southern Lebanon is what Israel intends to essentially conquer and keep.
I mean, that's what Ambassador Mike Huckabee told Tucker in that interview when he pressed him on it, the Greater Israel Project. Should Israel take this land as part of this what they believe they have a right to? And he said, yeah, take it all. Take it all. He tried to walk it back later, but it was really an admission of course, exactly what this Greater Israel Project is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely is. And again, I guess I struggle with the Lebanon situation as a Christian myself. Over Easter weekend, we just had our Easter. The idea is you should be praying for and thinking of Christians around the world. We have a president who says he cares deeply about Christians in Nigeria. And again, as I mentioned, one thing that the war on terror has done over the last 25 years, and virtually no Americans really recognize this or acknowledge it, is Americans have decimated the Christian communities in the Middle East. We decimated the Iraqi Christian population, which was about 5 million people. Many of them died. Those who didn't die fled into Syria, into Lebanon. They fled into other areas. Syria became really the main country for that. They, with the war in Syria and us trying to overthrow Assad and hand it over to ISIS and to Al-Qaeda, we decimated the population there. There has been a systematic decimation of these groups. The Christians in Syria, right, are, again, go back 2,000 years. The very first churches ever planted by the apostles were in Syria. And those are the places that we've watched this happen. And now Lebanon almost feels to me like it's one of the last steps in this process to eradicate Christianity from this region of the world. And so just from a religious perspective, I think not only is it sad and is it a horrific thing to watch happening, but also to know that it's American evangelicals who are largely responsible for giving Israel the pass to do this.
Conservative influencer Dan Bilzerian are just filed to run for Congress in Florida's 6th district. Is that what that means? I guess that's what that means. As a Republican against Governor or GOP Rep Randy Fine. Wake up, Ty. Wake up. Dan Bilzerian says this is the full TMZ interview they clipped to try to smear me. I don't feel like getting into that. I know he's been called anti-Semitic quite a bit. At least if I remember him from certain videos. That's good. Alright, Amazon. Oh, it just disappeared. Oh, wait, here it is. Amazon shares jump on Jassie's AI growth letter and 200 billion CAPEX plans. No idea what that means. CAPEX. U.S. Secretary of Treasury, or U.S. Treasury Secretary, jeez, bro, wake up, what am I doing? Scott Bessent and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell called Wall Street leaders to an urgent meeting on concerns that the latest AI model from Anthropic will usher in an era of greater cyber risk, according to Bloomberg report. It seems like there's a major push from the government right now to get Anthropic out of their systems. I don't know every little detail around that, but I've been seeing it more and more. Pilot rescue or nuclear raid. The truth about Isfahan, the failed mission the White House is hiding. Now, I will quote this with, I don't know if this is true or not, just before I play this, because I really don't know if it's true or not. And I don't want to get flagged for, putting out propaganda or something, but I thought it was kind of interesting last night, and I think Project Constitution, he does tend to be accurate. I'm not going to say he's always accurate, but just going off from a little bit of research that I've seen him do, which he does type a whole book every time he puts something out. Now, is he a real person? Is he... I think he's real. I don't know. Who's in that profile? That's Charlie Kirk. I don't know, man. It could be a fake account for all I know. Where are you from? Where's it at? Is this it? Based in the United States. Okay, that's good. Not that that really means anything, but we'll go with it.
Extensive evidence that has come to light about the recent operation by the American Zionist enemy in Isfahan has exposed a crushing strategic defeat for the United States. U.S. President Donald Trump's frantic threats in the past few days to target Iran's civilian infrastructure, including power plants and bridges, are a direct consequence of the heavy defeat suffered by the U.S. forces in the Isfahan operation. The failed raid was carried out after the enemy conducted extensive aerial reconnaissance operations in the days leading up to the attack, according to the exclusive information. During those initial infiltration and reconnaissance missions, the U.S. and possibly the Zionist regime lost a significant number of aircraft, including at least one A-10 Thunderbolt II and 2 Black Hawk helicopters. The information obtained by Press TV reveals that 0 hour for the failed Isfahan operation was set during a secret meeting at the White House under the direct supervision of the U.S. President himself. It has now become clear that this operation had no connection to the claimed rescue of a downed F-15 fighter pilot, a narrative initially pushed by American officials. Instead, evidence examined and confirmed by Press TV indicates that the real objective was to infiltrate and attack one of Iran's nuclear facilities in Isfahan. The landing site for C-130 transport aircraft, chosen based on previous reconnaissance, was an abandoned airstrip located dangerously close to one of these nuclear sites. The Americans miscalculated, believing that Iran's air defense would be unable to confront the aircraft involved in the operation. However, Press TV learned that the deployment of numerous U.S. aircraft occurred while the Iranian armed forces were in full alert waiting for them. In fact, American special forces fell directly into a trap set by Iranian forces. The Iranian armed forces, including the army, law enforcement, Faraja, the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps, IRGC, and local popular forces, initially did not show a serious reaction to the landing of the first C-130, which was carrying dozens of Special Forces commandos. Evidence shows this aircraft veered somewhat off the runway while landing at the abandoned dirt airstrip. Minutes later, a second C-130 aircraft approached, carrying specialized vehicles, several MH-6 Little Bird helicopters, and other support equipment. At that moment, Iranian forces on the scene targeted the second aircraft before it could land, turning its normal landing into an emergency one. 2 Black Hawk helicopters also arrived shortly after. It was at this moment that the aircraft, helicopters, and commandos who had disembarked from the first plane became perfect targets for the Iranian armed forces. After the Special Forces realized they had fallen into the trap, the White House Situation Room made a critical decision. The main operation to infiltrate the nuclear site was changed into a desperate rescue operation for the dozens of U.S. commandos trapped under Iranian fire. The Americans immediately sent several smaller aircraft to extract their forces, barely managing to gather the individuals and withdraw them from the deadly situation. The rescue operation was conducted so hastily that some soldiers and officers abandoned their equipment, including, according to the evidence possessed by Press TV, the identification document of an American officer left behind in the area to save their lives. After the commandos were evacuated, American fighter jets established a line of fire with a 5-kilometer radius to prevent Iranian forces from approaching the abandoned C-130s at the airstrip. The jets also carried out heavy bombing of their own equipment to prevent it from falling into Iranian hands. In this failed operation, U.S. Special Forces did not even have the chance to fly the special Little Bird helicopters. Some were destroyed on the ground, while others were destroyed inside the second C-130 aircraft. Following this disgraceful and heavy defeat, Trump hastily and chaotically held multiple press conferences to cover up the failure and falsely portray it as a pilot rescue operation. The information obtained by Press TV notes that the heavy aftershocks of this great debacle for Trump will affect not only the fate of the ongoing war against the Islamic Republic of Iran, but also the political future of America's gambling and ignorant president, his Republican Party, and the American political scene for years to come.
California charges 21 and 267 million hospice fraud scheme. The scheme involved buying stolen identities from the dark web to enroll out of state residents as fake terminally ill Californians in Medi-Cal, then billing for non-existent hospice services through 14 sham companies and over 130 shells. Attorney General Rob Bonta and state officials announced charges against 21 people Thursday, calling the taxpayer-funded theft unacceptable. Governor Newsom noted the state halted payments, revoked license, and removed thousands of bogus accounts, part of ongoing efforts that include 294 investigations and 51 convictions since Bonta's tenure began. Nick Shirley says you tried to paint me as a pervert for exposing fraud. As a result, radical leftists started trying to dox me and send death threats, wanting to kill me. Now you're taking credit for leading the charge on the fraud. Are you serious? Are you a fraud? Or no, I'm sorry, you are the fraud. That's what he said. That's what he said. I gotta open my eyes. Jeez, I'm gonna have to go make some coffee during my next video. Jeez. Jeez. I said Jews, not Jews, okay? James O'Keefe says, explain this to me like I'm a small child. Engaging in fraud pays out billions. Being a lobbyist for fraud in DC pays out millions. Exposing fraud gets you notoriety, but pays out nothing, invites lawsuits and death threats. Actually, that's not true. Bessent just said that they were going to give 10 to 30% of whatever the fraud amount is that you expose recently. So, I mean, unless that's not true, They're probably only going to give like 5 to 10%, to be honest. Like, it's always going to be lower than they say. What's this over here? Do I feel like playing this? I guess we can.
Is it communist?
Jordan
It's
Peterson.
the spirit of Cain.
Can you elaborate?
Elaborate,
what the spirit
bro.
of Cain is.
So, after Adam and Eve are thrown out of paradise for becoming self-conscious, or when they become self-conscious, they're destined to work. And the reason for that, as far as I can tell, is that to become self-conscious is to become aware of the future. It's to become aware of death. That certainly happens in the Adam and Eve story. To have the scales fall from your eyes. And then the consequence of that is that you now have to labor to prevent the catastrophes of the future. That's work. Work is sacrifice. Sacrifice of the present to the future. It's delay of gratification. It's maturity. It's sacrifice to something as well, and in the spirit of something. Okay, so now Adam and Eve have 2 children, Cain and Abel. So those are the first 2 people in history, because the Garden of Eden doesn't count. And they're the first 2 people who are born rather than created. So they're the first 2 people. And that's a hell of a story, because it's a story of fratricidal murder that degenerates into genocide, flood, and tyranny. So that's fun for the opening salvo of the story, let's say. And Abel and Cain both make sacrifices. And for some reason, Abel's sacrifices please God. It's not exactly clear why. And Cain's don't. Now, there's an implication in the text that it's because Cain's sacrifices are second rate. God says that Abel brings the finest to the sacrificial altar. He doesn't say that about Cain. So you can imagine that Cain is sacrificing away, but he's holding something in reserve. He's not all in. He's not bringing his best to the table. He's not offering his best to God. And so Abel thrives like mad. And everyone loves him. And he gets exactly what he needs and wants, exactly when he needs and wants it. He's favored of God. And Cain is bearing this terrible burden forward and working, and his sacrifices are rejected. So he gets resentful, really resentful, resentful enough to call God out and say something like, this is quite the creation you've got going here. I'm breaking myself in half and nothing good's coming my way. What the hell's up with that? And then there's Abel, the sun's shining on him every day. How dare you? It's like, okay, but this is God that Cain's talking to. And so God says what Cain least wants to hear, which is what God usually says to people. He says, look to your own device. You're not making the sacrifices you should, and you know it. And then he says something even worse. He says, sin crouches at your door like a sexually aroused predatory animal, and you've invited it in to have your way, to have its way with you. And so he basically says, you have allowed your resentment to preoccupy yourself, and now you're brooding upon it and generating something creative, new, and awful, possessed by the spirit of resentment. And that's why you're in the miserable state you're in. So then Cain leaves. His countenance falls, as you might expect. And Cain leaves. And he's so incensed by this because God has said, look, your problems are of your own making. And not only that, you invited them in. And not only that, you engaged in this creatively. And not only that, you're blaming it on me. And not only that, that's making you jealous of Abel, who's your actual idol and goal. And Cain, instead of changing, kills Abel, right? And then Cain's descendants are the first people who make weapons of war. And so that's, okay, you want to know what I think? That's the eternal story of mankind. And it's playing out right now.
Well, healthcare fraud might be President Trump's shiny new political talking point. California DOJ has been going after healthcare fraud since 1979. For decades. Trump is late to the party. While healthcare fraud might be President Trump's shiny new political talking point, California and yesterday, we successfully executed search and arrest warrants at 10 separate locations and arrested 5 suspects so far throughout Southern California. I'm going to break down the details of this operation in a moment, but first, I just want to make one point very clear. This is just the latest example of the California DOJ's longstanding, ongoing, and successful efforts to combat hospice and Medi-Cal fraud. We have been doing this work for years. We've been doing it successfully before certain people in this country decided to think about it for the first time. We will continue to do this work. And yesterday, we successfully executed search.
Israel is still striking Lebanon as we speak. Come on. Don't do this. Don't do what he did to fucking Syria. We do that every fucking time. Come on. Iran and the US are not striking each other. Iran is not striking the Gulf. The US is not striking Iran. Like, come on.
No, Israel's like a rabid dog. Somebody, if Trump's deal goes through, he could actually leave the Iranians hanging, which would be good. Iran then, if left to its own devices, would have to stop this. The United States has been the great enabler of the Iranians' genocidal tendencies. Just imagine if Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister, had said about Israel what Trump said about Iran. You know, it's going to be eliminated. We're going to eliminate that civilization tonight. That would be considered a genocidal threat.
Yeah. If Iran made that, like everyone's talking Iran saying death to America, death to America. What did Trump just say about Iran? So you can't use rhetoric as an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
Iran could say death to America. Trump could say, let's annihilate Iran. Israel, let's say, I want to dominate, I want to invade Lebanon. That's a new world order. But that's not, this should not justify an attack anymore. Breaking Al-Nusra ballistic missile launched from Yemen towards Israel.
Right.
The Houthis are striking Israel because Israel just struck Lebanon.
So, yeah, like I said, until they actually stop shooting, and it's going to have to be Israel that stops first, because right now Israel is one up on Iran, and Iran's retaliating, and Iran will continue to retaliate.
This jerk is eating on camera while he's talking. I mean, I guess I've done it too before.
What is the likelihood this will break out again?
Pretty likely, yeah.
Sorry, I rephrased the question, sorry, because it'll break out again this year.
Oh, I think it'll break out again this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What do you think will trigger it?
Israel's going to attack. They'll try to assassinate the new Ayatollah. They're not going to stop. The only way they'll stop is if the United States completely cuts them off, and the rest of the world cuts off Israel, shuns it. But, you know, China keeps doing business with them, India keeps doing business with them, Turkey keeps doing business with them. So, you know, as long as that nonsense goes on, Israel thinks it can get away with anything, and frankly, it has up to this point.
But do they have the capacity to continue the war?
No,
they agreed to this war very quickly.
Not by
and they weren't
themselves.
even just. What do you make of the fact that they were surprised by these negotiations? Does that show Trump maybe broke that stranglehold that many people thought Israel either had or people thought they had?
Yeah, well, it comes down to if you're the two survivors from the sinking of the Titanic, and there's only one lifeboat, who gets to go in it? And you decide, I'm going to save myself, not the other. And that's why I think Trump is trying to save himself, save his. And I think, frankly, his presidency is beyond the point of salvation. We'll see, though.
Let's see what happens with the polls.
Oh, well, polls are, you know, what's killing them is the price of gas. You know, I just went out and filled up today. I get it at a discount by being at one of these large buying clubs. But the price of gas now, it went from $2.54 on the 28th of February to now it's $3.92. So, you know, $1.40 roughly. It's gone up in price. And while right now the oil markets, the futures markets are reacting to, pieces at hand, price has fallen. The actual price of those oil tankers when they come into port is more like $140 a barrel. And that's not going down.
Not good. Federal judge finds Pentagon is violating court order to restore access to reporters. Let's see what Grok has to say about that. Let's see if we can get some more details. Nick Fuentes says that Israel is wrecking the U.S. economy through its actions in Lebanon.
Iran, that's the U.S. and Israel's war, but Lebanon, that's Israel's war. And Israel has been adamant that even after Iran ends, Lebanon will continue. What's more, Israel says we are going to escalate in Lebanon. Once the war in Iran ends or pauses, Israel is planning on escalating. They want to do way more in Lebanon, and they're going to wait until the war in Iran is over. So that is not a part of their program. A ceasefire in Lebanon, it's the opposite of what they want. The way they see it, winding down the war in Iran lets them escalate in Lebanon. So now Pakistan says the only way to get a ceasefire in the Gulf and open up shipping in Hormuz is if Israel stops the war in Lebanon. Think about the drama that this creates. The U.S. needs to open up the strait to save our economy. But Israel still wants the war to go on against Iran, and they view this as their war in Lebanon to secure their northern border. So they're having to swallow an end to the war in Iran, which they don't want, and they're having to shelve their other priorities, their other conflict with Lebanon. Well, now they're really not happy. And Israel is refusing to play ball. Israel says, we didn't agree to that, and you can't make us. We're going to bomb Lebanon harder than we have in the past month because we don't agree to this at all. And now that is putting the ceasefire in jeopardy, which means the strait remains closed. So you can work this out like a mathematical function. Israel bombing Lebanon, which is something they must do, is now directly causing the Strait of Hormuz to be closed. And that is causing the U.S. economy to tank. So you can literally create a through line and say, Israel's ambitions in Lebanon is wrecking the U.S. economy. As long as Israel is bombing Lebanon, Iran will not agree to a ceasefire. As long as they don't agree to a ceasefire, the strait is closed. As long as the strait is closed, our economy is in peril. Now, Israel doesn't care. They want the war to go on, and they want their war in Lebanon. It's a win-win for them. If they get to sabotage the peace deal and go to war in Lebanon to do it, well, they're doubly happy. Great. The U.S. is stuck in the war with Iran, and we get our war in Lebanon. Well, now we're super pissed because we're saying we can't get Israel to stop, and now our ceasefire is scuttled, and we look like a joke because we just called off the strikes for the ceasefire. So this puts the U.S. in a position where we have to pressure Israel to stop bombing Lebanon to get the strait open. And now we are put in the position where we have to do Iran's dirty work. Hezbollah is Iran's ally. Now, think of this. Think of this. We got into the war to topple Iran's government. Didn't happen, not gonna happen. We got into the war to destroy Iran's missiles and drones. Didn't happen, not gonna happen. Over the course of the war, Iran took the strait. Now the war is about opening up the strait. So it's about trying to get something that we already had. Forget about regime change, forget about the missiles. It ain't happening. We're lucky if we get the status quo from before the war back. Well, now, after the ceasefire to open up the strait, now Iran is demanding that we shut down Israel in Lebanon. So now the new peace agreement is like, Iran gets everything that they want. You want a ceasefire? Well, we are still here, so that's just not even on the table. There's no regime change. And we still have our missiles, and nuclear is not even in the talks. What we're going to talk about is how much we're going to control the strait and when Israel is making peace with our number one proxy, Hezbollah. Talk about five-dimensional chess. We went from a negotiation last year about whether Iran could have a nuclear program. Now the negotiation is how much of the strait did they get to control and how much does Israel get to bomb Lebanon, if at all?
NATO crawls to Trump for forgiveness. NATO chief Mark Rutte, I guess that's how you say her, Rutte to Rutte, I don't know, has rushed to Washington to apologize after the alliance abandoned America during the Iran conflict. Trump is not in a forgiving mood. He called NATO's refusal to help a mark that will never disappear. Spain shut its airspace completely. France blocked weapons flights. Germany branded the war illegal. While the UK flew some defensive missions, we have done nowhere near enough to support our greatest ally. Trump now has exactly what he's wanted for years, clear proof that America is paying for a one-way alliance. Europe has shown its true colors. That's from this guy named British Intel, which I'm kind of curious now. This is a very pro-American post, if you ask me. Thanks for coming, bro. Could you leave? Didn't even answer questions. Alright, bye guys. I just like smiled there for a second.
So I just found this
Jackasses.
gentleman named Alessi Alaman. If I'm saying that right, if I mispronounced that, I apologize. But he does this amazing breakdown on Jared Kushner and how much control that man has within the Trump administration. I think this is one of these videos that every American should check out. Give this kid a follow.
So let me enlighten you guys. June 2017, Saudi Arabia and the UAE suddenly blockaded Qatar, a key U.S. ally. Tillerson and Mattis are stunned. They're scrambling to stop war. But inside the White House, Kushner reportedly knew it was coming. Tillerson later told Congress that this, quote, shadow diplomacy, quote, made his job impossible. He described being in the dark while Kushner operated behind his back.
President Trump's former Secretary of State, whom he fired in March of last year. Last month, Tillerson quietly talked to these handful of bipartisan members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee about a range of issues, from the struggles with the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and his shadow involvement in Middle East policy, to Mr. Trump's 2017 meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Hamburg, as well as election interference by Russia. And Tillerson's frustration as well with the president's difficulty focusing on complex issues.
So this report covers the release of Tillerson's 7-hour testimony where he explicitly says Kushner's actions made him, quote, angry because the State Department's views were never expressed. And it wasn't just the Middle East. Tillerson once found out about a high-level meeting with Mexico's foreign minister only because he happened to be eating at the same restaurant. Tillerson saw the, quote, color go out of the face, quote, of the Mexican official when he walked over to say hello. Kushner was running a parallel government. You can even hear how careful Rex Tillerson is in describing the president's family in this 60 Minutes interview.
The president's son-in-law is often referred to as kind of a shadow secretary of state.
Well, I deal with the policies the president's asked me to execute on.
Does Jared coordinate with you?
In certain areas, he consults and is set with me and asks for advice and input. on a number of things.
Tillerson addresses how he manages the, quote, unique situation of the president's family members having their own portfolios. Then came Jerusalem. Mattis and Tillerson begged, and that's a quote, Trump not to move the U.S. Embassy, fearing it would set the region on fire. Kushner, however, saw it as the cornerstone of his legacy, the Abraham Accords. And then the, quote, adults eventually lost. Tillerson was fired via tweet while on a diplomatic trip. Mattis resigned in protest over Syria. The message was clear. In this White House, the experts were in the way of the deal. Tillerson declines to answer a question on Kushner's security clearance in the CBS interview. Watch the visible tension on Tillerson, his grill on whether Kushner is an asset or liability to U.S. diplomacy just days before being fired.
I had never met Donald Trump until the day he asked me to be Secretary of State. He acts on his instincts. In some respects, that looks like impulsiveness, but it's not his intent to act on impulse. I think he really is trying to act on his instincts. It was challenging for me, coming from the disciplined, highly process-oriented ExxonMobil Corporation, to go to work for a man who is pretty undisciplined, doesn't like to read, doesn't read briefing reports, doesn't like to get into the details of a lot of things, but rather just kind of says, look, this is what I believe, and you can try to convince me otherwise, but most of the time you're not going to do that.
So we can tell Kushner seemed to have more power or influence than Trump's own Secretary of State and Defense during Trump 1 in regards to geopolitics. So that's not hyperbole. That's a fact based on the Middle East decisions and even being with the Mexican ministry behind their backs. As the decision moved forward in late 2017, it stayed tightly controlled within that inner circle where Kushner helped shape the messaging, coordinate the rollout, and manage diplomatic communication behind the scenes, ensuring the announcement emphasized the U.S. was not defining final borders, even as it made a historic shift.
And on NATO, can you tell me, is the United States still considering withdrawing from NATO? Is that still a possibility?
It's something the president has discussed, and I think it's something the president will be discussing in a couple of hours with Secretary General Ruta, and perhaps you'll hear directly from the president following that meeting later this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
At the very end, say the president.
1 second. I realized I was going to be so loud once it started.
Is going to discuss with Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, the possibility of the United States withdrawing from NATO. I would imagine, Sandra, that's probably going to be highly unlikely, but the president not happy. Caroline Levitt saying, quoting the president, they were tested and they failed. So it's going to be quite a meeting this afternoon.
Yeah. And on NATO, can you tell me?
So are we going to leave? Y'all think we're going to leave? I don't know, man. Especially with him showing up, I don't know if we'll leave. Maybe just the relationship changes. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Our greatest ally? Yeah, I don't think so. Honestly, it's about time to hear this story reported. Much has been made about Israel.
Way too fast. He does kind of talk a little bit fast.
And their effects on President Trump and how we got into the war with Iran.
Hold up. Let's hear that one more time from Benny Johnson. This is Benny Johnson saying this stuff. I never thought that Benny Johnson would get to this point, but this is actually kind of cool.
Our greatest ally? Yeah, I don't think so. Honestly, it's about time to hear this story reported. Much has been made about Israel and their effects on President Trump and how we got into the war with Iran. But now it has been officially told from the inside by the New York Times. The two stenographers and stalkers of President Trump at the New York Times, directly from the White House, Bibi Netanyahu's lies to the president that were called bullshit by his own cabinet, that were called farcical by the CIA. And nonetheless, the Israeli government went to the White House and lied to Trump again and again. Trump decided to act on Iran anyway, and this story proves exactly why. You can agree or disagree, but it's the way that it happened, all the way down to the detail of where people were sitting in the room when Bibi Netanyahu gave his bullshit presentation. And I just want to start by saying, if your buddy continually lied to you, and it was to your detriment, and got you into boondoggles that cost you a lot, and had very little upside, would they be your greatest ally? And this is something that we need to start asking questions about, like, what is the world order? These are questions that are being asked of NATO. What have you done for me lately? Is like El Salvador a better ally to the United States than England or France? Spain wouldn't even let us fly over their country in order to deliver aid to Americans who were trapped behind enemy lines. Are they a great ally? No. And so in a world that's constantly changing, and right now changing dramatically and drastically, you need to be locked in with people who, at the very least, give you good information. And that's not what happened with Bibi Netanyahu, according to this New York Times article. Again, so detailed, in fact, that they talk about exactly where people sat in the room. So presumably, this is information that's being given directly from the White House to the New York Times in order to detail what happened. So what happened is that Bibi Netanyahu went to go brief President Trump and his cabinet a highly classified presentation in the Situation Room about bombing Iran. Behind the screens was Mossad's intelligence chief, and they gave a giant presentation about how easy it would be in order to topple the regime. They were wrong, by the way. Susie Wiles, White House Chief of Staff, Secretary Marco Rubio was there. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Raising Kane, Dan King, Joint Chiefs of Staff, were there together. John Ratcliffe from the CIA were there too. Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, Trump's sort of special envoy to negotiate these things all around the world. Anyway, J.D. Vance was noticeably not there because he was in Azerbaijan. Makes you wonder, honestly, at the time. The presentation that Netanyahu would give over the next hour would be pivotal in setting the United States and Israel on a path towards major armed conflict in the Middle East, one of the most volatile regions. And it would lead to a series of discussions inside the White House in the following days and weeks, details of which have not been previously reported, in which Mr. Trump weighed his options and the risks before going ahead and attacking Iran with Israel. This is the account of how Trump took the United States to war, and I guess it kind of starts with the lies of Benjamin Netanyahu. So here we go. In the Situation Room, Netanyahu made a hard sell, suggesting that Iran was ripe for regime change. We've heard this before, expressing the belief that the U.S.-Israel mission could finally bring an end to the Islamic Republic. At one point, the Israelis played for Mr. Trump a brief video that included a montage of new leaders that could take over the country if the hardline government fell, including those was Reza Pahlavi, or whatever, however the hell you pronounce it, this goofball who lives in Bethesda, Maryland. It's so stupid. That's how dumb. As soon as I was reading this, I was like, that's how stupid this all is. That's how dumb it all is. And it's like such a joke. Anyway, Mr. Netanyahu and his team outlined the conditions for a near certain victory. Of course, that's how it always plays on paper. Iran's ballistic missile program could be destroyed in a few weeks. The regime would be so weakened that it couldn't choke off the Strait of Hormuz, and the likelihood that Iran would land a blow against U.S. interests in neighboring countries was minimal. Mossad's intelligence indicated that the street protests inside of Iran would begin, and the impetus for Israeli spy agency helping foment the riots and rebellion. Intense bombing campaign would foster the conditions for opposition to overthrow the regime. The Israelis also said the Iranian Kurd fighters could cross into the border, opening up the ground front for the regime's collapse. Netanyahu delivered the presentation in confident monotone, an important person in the room, directly to President Trump. Sounds good to me, said Trump. Then he sent the prime minister on his way. Prime minister, of course, was constantly at the White House, constantly demanding that Donald Trump go to war against Iran. And then what happened? Well, Trump went to his team and said, is this true? And they said no. This entire presentation was a lie, or at least the majority of it. So here's what happened. This is a very, very interesting part of the article. The U.S. officials, so the CIA director and the State Department and the Pentagon got to work, and all the experts on our side went through Netanyahu's presentation. And these are the people who know Iran, know every single one of their leaders, know all their capacities, knows every single underground tunnel. These are like the really, really intelligent people on Iran. And they got back to the president talking about what could actually happen and what won't happen. Intelligence officials that have deep expertise in U.S. military capabilities and know the Iranian system and its players inside and out broke down Netanyahu's presentation into 4 parts. The decapitation, killing of the Ayatollah, the crippling of Iran's capacity to project power and threaten its neighbors, popular uprising inside of Iran, and regime change. These are the 4 parts, okay, with a secular leader to govern the country. U.S. officials assessed that the first 2 objectives were achievable. It's amazing like how that happened, because that did actually happen. They did kill the Ayatollah like they won, because they found an opportunity to do it, and they did end up really severely depleting Iran's capacity to project power. They really don't have a navy or an air force to speak of. They're kind of out of missiles. You can see that. That's like objectively true. So our intelligence was right. Get a load of this. They assessed that the 3rd and 4th parts, Netanyahu's pitch, which included the Kurds mounting a ground invasion and all the Iranian people rising up, that it was totally detached from reality. Mr. President joined the meeting. The CIA director briefed him on the assessment. He used one word to describe the prime minister's regime change scenario: farcical. At that point, Mr. Rubio cut in and said, in other words, it's bullshit, said Marco Rubio, the hero of the moment here. Ratcliffe added that given the unpredictability of the events and the conflicts, things could change, things could happen. This should not be considered an achievable objective. And they were right, by the way. You know, we have the Ayatollah's son who's in charge. They killed a lot of the Iranians, but like it's not like you had regime change and people didn't rise up at all. I mean, there were like literally 0 people rising up in Iran. Okay, maybe they were all killed. I don't know, but they didn't do it. Not even a single city like said, "Oh, we're gonna not do this anymore. We're not a part of your regime." No one did that. Not like a single town, not a single dude herding a single goat in a single hut said we're rebelling. Like that didn't happen. Okay, so it's a total lie from the Israelis. And obviously, then you have General Kane. This is Raising Kane. Trump said, "What do you think about this?" And General Kane said, "Sir, this is, in my expertise, standard operating procedure for the Israelis. They oversell, and their plans are not well developed. They know they need us, and that's why they're hard selling you." Okay. Trump quickly weighed the assessment. Regime change, he said, would be their problem. Talking about Israel or Iran, not exactly sure. But the bottom line was that the decision whether to go to war in Iran would not hinge on parts 3 and 4. It would hinge on killing the Ayatollah and the top leaders and dismantling the Iranian military. And that's why Trump went to war. And I think that you can sort of argue that that's exactly what happened. That is what happened here, actually. We would deplete their military severely and, killed an enormous amount of their leadership. The other part of note in all of this is that J.D. Vance was very much the skeptic and believed that this shouldn't happen. Nobody in Mr. Trump's inner circle was more worried about the prospect of war with Iran or did more to stop it than J.D. Vance. Mr. Vance had built his political career opposing precisely the kind of military adventurism is now under serious consideration. He described war with Iran as a huge distraction of resources and massively expensive. That's true. He was not, however, a dove across the board in January when Trump warned about Iran killing protesters and stuff. Vance privately encouraged the president to enforce his red line. But it was like limited punitive strikes like we did last summer. The vice president thought regime change war with Iran would be a disaster. And he was right. His preference was for no strikes at all. But knowing that Mr. Trump was likely to intervene in some fashion, he tried to steer towards limited action. Later, when it seemed certain that the president was set on a large-scale campaign, Mr. Vance argued that he should do so with overwhelming force in the hopes of achieving his objective quickly. in the end, you can read the rest of the article. I encourage you to. It's actually utterly fascinating. It's but that lead in with like how Bibi Netanyahu effectively, lied to convince Trump to go to war with Iran, and how catastrophically wrong Israeli assumptions were, and how right U.S. intel assumptions were, is remarkable. According to the New York Times, Netanyahu presented Trump with false and untrue programming about what would happen in Iran. Israeli intelligence falsely suggested Iran would be too weakened to respond effectively. U.S. interests would face minimal risk. This was not true. The impetus for Iran's war were lies and falsehoods presented by Netanyahu. Is it fair to say that this was a foreign influence operation? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
But Trump denies that, so...
After a closed-door Israeli pitch with his meeting, where Bibi Netanyahu effectively used an opportunity where J.D. Vance was gone in order to spill lies. And now you'll be shocked to learn that the Israeli government is angry about the Trump ceasefire with Iran. Excuse me, I couldn't care less about foreign countries' opinion about our president's actions. Yes, thank you. We have like our own country to save here, okay? A few minutes after the Pentagon briefing wrapped, I spoke with President Trump briefly and asked him about his latest with Iran and Donald Trump. Effectively saying, like, I'm not going to be tying the future of America to Israel.
I wasn't going to play this whole video, but...
Here's what I believe. You're not going to find me sitting here banging my fist on the table.
It is sped up.
Like one way or another, about any country, honestly. I mean this, right? Like, I love America. I don't hate the Iranians. I don't hate Israel. I don't hate the Russians. I don't hate the Chinese. I want what's best for America. If that means bad things for all of those countries, I don't care. That's what we do here. Meaning, typically what happens is good things for America means good things for all those countries. They're all major trading partners. A lot of them benefit from a secure world, secure shipping lanes, all the nice things that America provides. But I'm, frankly, utterly sick of any other country being considered over America. And I think that's, frankly, what people are the most frustrated about right now. Is why I'm really happy to be decoupled entirely from this region. As far as I'm concerned, close down every single American base. And close down most of the American bases across Europe too, and every American base in Ukraine. I don't see it. I don't understand it.
This is a big moment for Benny Johnson, if you ask me. I didn't expect him to go this far with Israel, or just really align with a lot of the, I guess, America first or America only type people. I feel like the America only types are the real Americans, if you ask me. But I don't know. I mean, I still get along with America Firsters. I feel like those are kind of like the two new blooming camps of the defected MAGA camps. I feel like you have America First and America Only. And you basically the America First people are like the gropers or whatever they're called. And the America Onlys are just, the America Onlys. I don't know. Maybe even the Alex Jones types at this point. I don't know. I don't know what the hell Alex Jones is. I don't even know if I want to mix myself with that just yet. I mean, I still like the whole idea of 1776 and stuff like you mentioned earlier. But I don't know. It's almost like there has to be something for, I don't know, like the underground rebel types. I feel like the America Only kind of represents that a little bit better. But I don't know. What do you guys think? But like I said, I like seeing, this improvement from Benny. It is kind of strange, though. It is a big movement. What in his life shifted him so much? I don't know. His house was set on fire. Lots of things happened to Benny. I don't know if anybody's familiar. He says that the money that was given to him, he didn't know where, it was originating from or anything. But who knows? Who knows? Trump will discuss the U.S. withdrawing from NATO with Secretary General Rutte today.
The president will be discussing in a couple of hours with Secretary General Rutte.
Rutte! Okay, that's how you said it. ICE has now arrested over 700,000 illegal aliens and over 2 million more have self-deported.
And Brett, ICE Director Lyons went on to tell us that ICE has now arrested more than 453,000 criminal aliens. Those are aliens who have been charged with or convicted of a crime since President Trump began his second term in office. We'll send it back to you.
A lot of people. Bill, thank you.
Yep. And Brett, ICE Director Lyons went on to tell us that ICE is now arrested.
Dan Scavino says there are many dedicated people in government who could leave tomorrow and earn tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a month as so-called influencers on social media, but they chose to serve the American people instead. All while so-called influencers talk shit all day long and get paid bigly for clicks and impressions. We see you. Hey, bro, I don't get paid shit. Like, I mean, Rumble hasn't even, like, paid me in, like, a year. Like, they give me, like, pennies. Like, they don't want to show me to people. They want me to pay to get paid. I was looking at the creator program again today, and I was just like, bro, I'm not paying $10 a month just so I can get paid, like, you know, a few quarters a month. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's literally just making my premium cheaper every month, and I'm not going to do that. No. If you're not making money from ads and all these other things that you're doing, then I don't support it. I don't know. I want to go to a different platform. I'm sick of all these platforms. I want something new. I want something that feels like I can actually, you know, grow on it. All these platforms are just, like, shut down. Everything's, like, shadow limited. Shadow limited. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Tucker Carlson. I'm not going to play this whole video. Actually, I'm not going to play it at all. It's an hour and 40 minutes. Tucker Carlson says Netanyahu launches terror attack on Beirut. Destroying Trump's ceasefire. We need to detach from Israel immediately. And then you had Trump lash out against Tucker Carlson and other pundits today. Got Roger Stone saying that last Monday, Loomers tried to convince the president that Tulsi Gabbard was about to resign in an effort to get Trump to move preemptively to fire her. The whole thing was a hoax. Fortunately, I acted in time. When I called Loomer out on her lie is when she became unhinged. Was Roger even there? I don't know. Roger, you're a interesting character. Ever since I saw your angry video screaming at your journalist inside your SUV, I kind of feel a little bit differently about you. I'm not too sure about you, bro. I even kind of started to question, like, were you even truly Nixon's friend? Did you turn Nixon in, bro? I'm not saying you did, just speculating. Alright, Speaker Mike Johnson says the Save America Act is about proof of citizenship to register to vote and using a photo ID when you do so. Why are Chuck Schumer and Democrats against this common sense measure? I'm not going to cover you, bro. I'm sorry. There is a movement to get rid of John Thune, though, so that's kind of nice. Thomas Massie calls for an end to all U.S. foreign aid. I'm not getting into that right now. I'm not even... When did that video come out? I'm not getting into that right now. We already covered that video. John Thune is using brief pro forma sessions intended to block Trump from any recess appointments while the Senate is on vacation. Trump's had 0 appointments, it says.
And it's time not to end it, not to set up an adversarial relationship, but to set up a healthy conventional relationship where Israel can pay its own bills and fund its own military and act within the constraints imposed on it by its own economy and population. That's what normal countries do. Most countries live with neighbors that don't like them, with whom they have testy relationships, but they make accommodations because they have no choice. There's no country in the world that acts with total impunity because it knows a much larger country will backstop it no matter what it does. That just doesn't exist in the natural world because it's not natural. It's grotesque. And it's terrible for the United States, and now it's obvious. And it's time not to end it, not to set up an adversarial relationship, but to set up a healthy conventional relationship where Israel can pay its own bills and fund its own military and act within the constraints imposed on it by its own economy and population. That's what normal countries do. Most countries live with neighbors that don't like them, with whom they have testy relationships, but they make accommodations because they have no choice. There's no country in the world that acts with total impunity because it knows a much larger country will backstop it no matter what it does. That just doesn't exist in the natural world because it's not natural. It's grotesque. And it's terrible for the United States. And now it's obvious. And it's time not to end it, not to set up an adversarial
Can't get this
relationship,
off my
but
screen.
to set up a healthy conventional relationship where Israel can pay its own bills and
All right,
fund
go
its
on,
own
dude.
military and act within the constraints imposed on it by its own economy and population. That's what normal countries do.
I had to close out the game because it was screwing up my screen. I couldn't see anything for a second. And now all this is screwed up. Drogo says, I like Tucker, but he's not being honest about the nuclear threat from Iran. That or he's misinformed, which I doubt. I don't think he knows about this particular grain of sand, Drogo. Just me personally. Just my personal opinion. I don't know for a fact. I mean, maybe Tucker could be a part of something else. I have no clue. But just going off of, like, I guess what I've seen, I mean, there was lots of reports that, you know, Iran didn't have these things for quite a while. And maybe he was led astray with those reports. I don't know. But Khag Drogo has been reporting for a while that it was actually Israel that was exchanging nuclear material back and forth with Iran. It was Israel exchanging material back and forth with Iran. Just making sure I said that correctly. Which is strange, right? You know, like why would you exchange nuclear material with your adversarial country that you hate? It's kind of strange. Iran admits to having 60% enriched uranium stockpiled that IAEA and DOE both classify as direct use and could be used for crude device like Hiroshima Little Boy. Anyone saying there was no nuclear threat from Iran is retarded or lying. Trump has been warning this for years. It wasn't some big switch up. People saying he changed are liars. He's been saying this before he was president. Trump tried to make a deal, but Israel seemingly sabotaged those ongoing talks twice now by being the first to strike in the middle of negotiations. Now, just a reminder, Khag Drogo is, I won't say he's entirely anti-Israel, but he is more like anti-Zionist. He has spoken very strongly against Zionists. He is a Q follower, so if that turns your head away from listening to him, I can understand. But he does tend to be more accurate than some of the other people that I follow, which is kind of interesting, you know. It's like, why would someone with those characteristics be more accurate or just have certain details? He does have links from his own words. He said that he was related to, I guess, a CIA chief officer. What was his name? Robert David Steele, I believe. I think his name was. I used to cover a lot of his videos. He passed away during the pandemic, but he actually spoke very strongly against Zionists as well. So, just something to keep in mind while reading some of this. Trump tried to make a deal, but Israel seemingly sabotaged those ongoing talks twice now by being the first to strike in the middle of negotiations. See what I mean? We can know of PNEC's clean break blueprint for Greater Israel, Wesley Clark's 7 countries in 5 years warning, and even urban moving systems. But don't forget the Rothschilds funded both sides of every major war and created the State of Israel. That Israel has a history of arming Iran, and that Obama aided Iran's nuclear program while giving Israel more aid than any president in history. Who do you think Iran got it from? They funded both sides, laundered through proxies. We all know Israel never signed non-proliferation treaty. sitting on a undeclared arsenal with mutual assured destruction doctrine, and JFK tried to stop that, but none of this negates the very real threat of terrorist groups and adversaries they and the CIA arm / or fund, or a country with an open hostile posture to the U.S. getting nuclear weapons. The goal is less proliferation, not more. This is far more complex than many admit. It's stupid complex, and this is the IEA saying that they have enriched up to 60% right here on one of their documents. This is something that Drogo has been sharing for quite a while now. I'd probably say a few months. Maybe he shared it more than that, but I just recognize it from some of his past posts. But he's showing Trump here, posting from 2011, it looks like. Iran's quest for nuclear weapons is a major threat to our nation's national security interests. We can't allow Iran to go nuclear. And just to remind you, Trump has been talking about going to war with Iran throughout most of his adult history. I would actually say that it's more within recent political years that he was running for president that he started to change his stance to be anti-war or anti-Iran. I think he was doing that obviously to win points. You know, as sad as that is to say, I mean, it just kind of appears as the truth. What do you call the truth when it's truthy? Dan Bilzerian, everybody. He kind of looks like that meme, doesn't he? With the beard, that beard guy. I think he's pretty buff, if I remember right. I can't remember exactly, but I want to say he works out. Tucker Carlson says the U.S. needs to detach from Israel immediately. Why can't any U.S. president say no to Israel? Why does this tiny country have so much control over our government? And Alex Jones talked to MGT earlier today. She was basically just saying that Fox News is all propaganda and Trump sucks and I hate everybody. That's basically what happened. Alright, let's play this game, guys. I was trying to get it started, but then it like screwed up my screen. We're gonna play it this time though. I gotta not like change my screen 1,000 times during the middle of it though. That'll help.
And so the United States has to, and hopefully the first thing we do when and if this war is resolved,
we wrapped around,
is detach from Israel. Not declare war on Israel or treat Israel as an enemy. They may treat us as an enemy, as they have before. When they tried to sink the USS Liberty, an American naval vessel, a surveillance vessel, they treated us as an enemy. We don't have to treat them as an enemy, however, and we shouldn't. But we should treat them like we treat every other country. As an ally, but with restrictions and reservations and deadlines. No, you can't act against our interest. And this distancing should begin with a total end of aid of any kind, military or economic, to Israel by the U.S. government. And people who love Israel, some of whom are pretty successful, can send all the money they want to Israel, and that's fine. But the U.S. government should send not one more dollar to Israel and not one more piece of military material to Israel, not one more fighter jet or bomb or missile defense system or small arm or ammunition of any kind. Because Israel is aggressively acting against our interests. And so to continue to arm and finance them, their generous welfare state, for example, or their military, defend their nation, is not only contrary to core American interests, it's just masochism. Watch us hate ourselves as we fund a country that's killed more Americans than most other countries have. That's just a fact.
1 second,
and
guys.
not just on the Liberty. Every war that Israel has pushed us to join has resulted in dead Americans. And the fault lies ultimately with our leaders who are going along with this. It's their fault first. It's not the Israelis' fault. It's our fault. But they're implicated in it. This relationship has resulted in a lot of dead Americans. A lot. And it's time not to end it, not to set up an adversarial relationship, but to set up a healthy conventional relationship where Israel can pay its own bills and fund its own military and act within the constraints imposed on it by its own economy and population. That's what normal countries do.
You remember this place?
Yeah, I remember coming here.
My mother used to bring us here.
Tell me everything.
Some things have always been. There have always been angels. There have always been demons. And they've always been at war. 9 millennia ago, one demon rose through the ranks to take power over the dark hordes. The strongest, cruelest, Mundus. But Mundus did not rise alone. At his right hand was his most trusted lieutenant, his blood brother, Sparta. But Sparta betrayed him. He fell in love with an angel, Eva. The
What's up, Danger Mouse?
between angel and demon was inconceivable. But it happened. And with it came new life. Twin boys. You and I. A hybrid of the warring angel and demon races. When Mundus learned of Sparta's betrayal, his fury knew no limit. He hunted the lovers down. Eva was murdered by his own hand. And for Sparta, he demanded a more brutal fate. Endless punishment and pain. But even as Eva was destroyed, and Sparta was imprisoned for eternity, each knew that the seed for their revenge had already been sown. Because according to legend, the only beings that can slay a demon king are Nephilim, a hybrid of angel and demon. Those hybrids now exist, you and I. Mundus believed that only one child was born, but there were 2 Nephilim, and each had been hidden well. Sparta armed his sons, the rebellion for Dante, the Yamato for Virgil.
So, Mundus killed our mom and imprisoned our dad.
Yes.
And we're the offspring of angels and demons.
Demon father, angel mother. We are Nephilim, the only ones that can slay the demon king.
Good. How?
Spotter. Fucking demon collaborators. You're being dragged into limbo.
All
I'll
right.
find Kat. She'll get you out.
I'm gonna fix this screen. So let me pause the game. Give me a minute. Oops. Too much. Okay, let's play this game, yo. Actually, I know I'll turn up this music. Gotta remember all the buttons now. There we go. Oh, do that thing. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Trying to remember these buttons, y'all. Alright. That was sloppy, but we're getting there. I can't have something soft right now. Music's gonna screw me up. Usually it's better than that. I don't know if that's heavy enough. We're gonna go with it though.
Find another way.
I didn't really do this last time I played, I don't think. I think I went the whole game without a lot. I don't know, actually. Maybe I did. It's been so long. Nothing else up here? I make that? No? Shit. No, bros. What the fuck? Why can't I reach it from here? There we go. Wrong button. There we go.
Another blue rose.
Huh?
Roger, I don't think you understand what's at stake. Understand what's at stake.
That's helpful. How do I heal?
getting the hang of this.
Oh shit. Wouldn't let me. Wrong button. What the hell am I supposed to do? Really? So I had to die?
Thanks for your help. Thanks for your help. Flying rats.
Oh shit.
Cat, on my way.
Silver Sachs Tower, the world's most powerful investment bank. Who runs it? CEO Kyle Ryder. A human vessel. The physical manifestation of Mundus, demon. Through death, he controls everything. To Mundus, the world is a factory farm for human souls. And he likes to keep his animals monitored and docile. The monitoring is done by the Raptor News Corporation, a global network of CCTV cameras, satellites, and spies. The way he keeps us docile is a little more insidious. What is it? It's in your hand. Planet Earth's most popular soft drink, Virility. The demons have spiked it. It's okay. It has no effect on us, or the humans. It's a lot of me who can. So what's your plan? That's the Hellgate, the conduit from which Mundus draws his power. While he's connected to the Hellgate, he's immortal. But we get him away from the Hellgate, swords will do the rest. So how do we do that? We get his attention. Mundus is petty. He's impulsive.
Alright, I gotta change this song.
If we hit him where it hurt,
Oh, it is on the screen. Good. I was wondering if the songs were showing up.
Let his anger rule him. I believe we can draw him out.
Okay, so to kill Mundus, we need to drag him away from the country. We do that by pissing him off.
Roughly speaking, yes.
And we piss him off by taking down the Rapture News Network and Barilla. That's it. Which one do you want to do first?
I'll throw the sound off. Fix yourself, please. The loading screen should do it. Hopefully. Satisfactory, whatever. That was my warm-up mission. Haven't played in a month.
They're aware of you now, Dante, so stay low. Mundus doesn't know I exist, so I'll remain hidden until we're ready to strike. Cat knows the Barilla defect, what lies beneath. She will be your guide.
It'll kill you.
The camera spotted you. They must have been looking out for you. We'll have to take it out.
I know. Here comes trouble.
I'm not safe here.
Here we go.
What does it tell me to hold down the Y button for?
I'm gonna get up there and rip you apart.
How do I get up there?
Snake gun. Whoa. Someone doesn't want me here.
The city itself is trying to stop you.
Great.
Virgil sent me the camera locations for this area. Best avoid them if we can. Follow me.
Which way did she go? I'm going the other way then. Really? What is that? Okay.
What the hell? Nicely done, girls.
Here we go.
There you are.
Here I am.
This isn't good. It's the walls. Get out of here!
Oops. Oh. Oh man. Wrong one. I don't even know what this is. Trying to beat the clock, I guess. Where am I going? I don't know where I'm going. Is that all that was? Okay. Hey, wait. I probably need to go back up there. I'm going that way.
Well, spells can take hours, if not days, to prepare. So why not can it for instant use later?
They're doing cheese. Where'd you learn this stuff?
Bridget taught me the basics of demonology and occultism. Felt I had natural talent for it. Said it would help me to focus on something constructive instead of...
Instead of what?
Instead of focusing on me. Okay. There you go. Shit. Cops. Evan, I'll find you.
What? I didn't get it. There we go. Yeah.
Mix the races, blur the lines, nation states dissolve in design.
I'm going the right way.
Borders, silent tide, replace the old with a hybrid glide. Elite towers,
Oh, that's the camera, okay.
Come on then, you little shits.
they call it diversity.
didn't know it hit me.
Great. Can you hear me?
Who invited you, fat ass?
Harder they fall.
Dante, it's chaos out here, but I found a way out.
Where?
Up there. I marked it. Dante, run!
I am running. I just seem to drag on forever. Sure.
The police have released footage of the terrorist responsible for the recent attacks at St. Agrius' church. He goes by the name of Dante. Remember his face, people. If you see him, inform the police immediately, but do not approach him. He has a history of physical violence and is a known sexual deviant. This is Bob Owens, just doing God's work.
He's just jealous he can't get a girl.
I was here years ago as a child. I explored the whole facility and see. I sensed a demon under the factory. Succubus, an ancient monk. I believe it's the source of the psychotropic ingredient. It's what they use to control us.
Welcome, visitors, to the Virility Factory. Virility's secret ingredient is what makes Virility the #1 soft drink
Excuse
in the
me.
world. And best of all, it has been scientifically proven to improve weight loss by 21% and enhance sexual performance by 63%. If
How do people actually fall for this crap?
If you're told something's true often, you tend to believe it.
Had to turn off my mic for a second.
You tried telling me I was a basket case too.
Wanted to put me on drugs. Said it would make me better. I lied. They just wanted to keep me weak. Docile.
How did you figure it all out?
Virgil pulled me out of the nightmare.
When the people you're supposed to trust most turn out to be scum, your eyes really do open up to evil everywhere. I took a stand, fought back, killed, no matter the consequences. So I chose my path and I lived by it. And after all that anger, violence, and death, you have to dig deep. Dig into your own heart to see if you're still sane, or if you can still call yourself human. I just knew in my heart I wasn't crazy.
The succubus is hidden deep inside the factory, but there is no physical way to reach it from our world. Only from limbo. There's a rift inside. This way, I think.
You said you'd been here before.
Yes, but it was during an out-of-body experience years ago.
Keep flying around in spirit form.
Give me just a second.
Limbo. Virgil says it could be an effective intelligence gathering tool, but I can't do it at will.
So, how did you do it before?
It was triggered by extreme psychosomatic trauma. Nightmares.
What are the nightmares?
It's impossible.
Kick me out of the screen. There we go. I gotta see what's down here. Can't just have like some big ass tunnel with like. Oh, I guess you can. I don't know why you would just have like a big empty space like that. Whatever. I went down there for no reason. Kinda hurt my feelings a little bit. At least we got good music. Alright, I want to go down that way, but I'm not going to. I'll regret it later.
This is where they store the merchandise, right? It's funny. Expected it to be bigger. A lot bigger.
That's what she said.
I was just a child.
Not to me, though.
You came to Limbo to escape your nightmares.
Once you're in limbo, all you have to do is retrace your steps back to the next beat.
Should be easy enough.
Maybe. But the demons may sense you once you're in limbo, so stay alert.
And once I've reached the mixing room,
You'll be able to descend deep down into the factory.
kill me a succubus.
Boss battle room. There's gonna be some battle in here. Just wait.
Okay. It's here.
All right, see you on the other side.
It's kind of fun.
Down here.
Obesity.
It's a lot bigger here in Limbo. What next?
Head back to the mixing room. I'll meet you there.
Obesity, stupidity, drink virility.
Wrong button. I'm going exactly. Does it really matter?
What took you so long?
Ow. Just about to latch onto you, bro. What the hell? Oh, barely made it.
Hey, could you point me to the mixing room?
Oh, I still dodged it. Oh. Ow. Ow. I got some more. Look in there. I need to heal again. Where's one of those stores at? Oh, there's one, I think. Isn't it? Yeah. Wait. Why is the large one cheaper than the smaller one? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait. Huh? They get more expensive the more you buy? I don't like that. That's some crap. Damn. I gotta use it. That was close. Oh. Uh-oh. F you, Dante. I don't know which way to go. I guess this way. Where am I going? Goes this way. Why are they dropping prize? Makes no sense. Why are these cheaper? Makes no sense. You. What? Oh, that's the soda? Gross.
What in the shitting hell is going on here?
The mixing process. But it's the source we're interested in.
I'm guessing our succubus is on the other end of that.
That's right. This way.
Succubus. Is she pretty?
Trouble. Give me a minute.
Be careful.
Oh shit, I tried to dodge it. Wouldn't let me. Or maybe that's why. Ledge was coming out. What?
Limbo's biggest loser.
Shit. Shit, they're fast. Fuck. Damn, I tried dodging. Oh, I know I can do that. Shit. Holy shit. That almost killed me. You die already? Dude. Damn, I tried dodging.
Congratulations. You win.
Whew. Where are we going? This way? Oh, the green orbs restore my health. I didn't know that. I gotta look for those green pods more. Like this one. Yay! That's so much better. Where I go?
Dante,
This way.
you okay? That looked pretty nasty.
That? Nah. It was just a big fat joke. Come on, let's go get this succubus.
Here we go.
Now what?
This tunnel will lead you to the succubus.
How do I get down there?
You can only get there from limbo. I can't follow.
What is that, an egg timer?
It's a vial containing a spell I made from a variety of... You jump, I twist.
Are you serious?
Trust me.
I jump, you twist.
Good luck.
Oh shit. Not the music I imagined for right now, but... Dude, why does it keep changing price? That's so stupid. I don't like that. I guess I'll just buy one of these. That's all I got. Uh-oh. It looks like a boss right there. Can I get a better song before I go in here? Please? Please? I didn't ask for another riff. Next song, please. Not the song I was wanting. Not that one either. I don't like that. What's that? Pro Hula Hoop? I'm waiting for it. I gotta feel it for a second. I'm just gonna go with it.
Ugh, those smells are sick.
Ew.
So you must be the secret ingredient. In your prime day, you ugly sack of shit. You missed it. My name, by the way, is Dante.
Dante, son of Sparta and Eva, the
Yeah, but you can call me Dante the Demon Killer. Has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
You want to kill me? You can't kill me. I'm 1,200 years old.
You don't look a day over 12,000.
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Don't be shy.
I'll get you, you ranky little scrub.
Succubus, suck on this. Shit! I can't reach it.
What the hell? How am I supposed to reach it?
You pay for that, you dainty little between.
I jumped over it. Oh wait, I feel stupid now. Damn. I want to restart. I don't know how to get to those things.
Stay still, you flea awakened royal man.
Succubus! Suck on this! Shit! I can't reach it.
I don't know how to get over. Oh, I didn't say that. How can I say that before? Damn. I mean, I kind of figured I was supposed to go around, I just didn't know how. Can I still reach it from here? There we go. Yeah, I should have run all the way. Do you have anything? What does this do? Health cross? I don't know what that does. Got him. That's how I like to end the episode, y'all. You still alive?
I think you're all mixed up.
What do we got now? Got a new ability? There better be a girl who he's with. I don't like seeing all these pictures. Okay, well, that's not much better. Actually, that's not better at all. What is that? Is that a succubus? Ew. That's like a tranny.
We talk
Ew.
about her.
My succubus is dead.
Oh,
Sparta.
Trajan, what of him?
His spawn. The Nephilim. It fights.
Alright. I think that's about it for tonight, y'all. I appreciate everybody that stopped by, though. Hopefully you liked tonight's video. Go ahead and like if you did. If you're new to the channel, please follow. You never know. We might be on tomorrow. Always a fun game. It's actually a very well put together game. I love it. Anyways, good night, y'all. Peace out.
Trump.